The Johnny Depp vs. Amber Heard case has sparked something of a cultural reformation here in the United States. Prior to this case, there was this notion that only women could be victims of domestic violence or sexual assault. It was hardly ever believed, or at least it wasn't believed by very many people that men could be the victims of domestic violence with female abusers. The Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard case has proven that, well, this notion is just not the case in reality. Johnny Depp has given abused men a platform to speak up and show that men can also be the victims of abuse. Now that Johnny Depp has received his justice, we need to continue pushing the notion that men can be victims of domestic violence as well. Part of doing that is doing away with the believe all women mentality. Believe all women is a mentality that should have never existed. It should have never adopted, or should have never been adopted by anybody. Personally, I'm not a fan of absolutes because they're almost never correct. I mean, there's always going to be somebody who goes against the grain. I realize that it's an absolute, but it's one of the few absolutes that is actually accurate, in my mind. But anyways, this believe all women mentality has allowed Amber Heard to lie about Johnny Depp and tarnish his reputation. It took Johnny many years and a successful lawsuit, a successful defamation lawsuit, for people to fully realize how easily women can lie about a man being abusive to ruin that man's reputation. And quite frankly, I am glad people are starting to realize this. Let this soak in. It took Amber Heard one day in 2016, where she called, where her friend called the police, making a falsified police report. That one day was enough to tarnish Johnny Depp's reputation. It took Johnny 6 years and 2 defamation lawsuits to clear his name and prove he is not an abuser. Or at least not the abuser that Amber claims him to be. Now, I wish I could say that Johnny is the only known case of domestic violence against men. Unfortunately, that's not the case, though. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 4 men are victims of domestic violence in their lifetime. And those are only the reported numbers. Domestic violence against men is still largely unreported. Now, an interesting point that the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence brings up is the believed main aggressors of male domestic violence are women. Yeah, like, go figure. The most known or the most believed abusers of domestic violence against men happen to be women. Who would have known? Who would have known that? It makes me think. It makes me wonder. How many Johnny and Amber relationships are there out in the world? The easy answer is far too many. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, to be quite frank, just one of these relationships is too much for the world. I also wish that I could say Johnny is the only male victim of domestic violence who took years to clear his name and reputation. Unfortunately, that is also not the case. In November 2021, a judge in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, exonerated 4 black men 70 years after they were falsely accused of rape by a white woman. You heard that correctly. 70 years. Ernest Thomas, Samuel Shepard, Charles Greenlee, and Walter Irvin were all cleared of their charges 70 years after the allegations were brought onto them. Sad thing about this case is none of them lived long enough to hear their names get cleared. Now, for those of you who have been paying attention to what Amber Heard has been saying, or what she has said following the trial, you'd be aware that she said that this trial was a setback for domestic violence abusers. The Johnny Depp case did not actually set back any domestic violence survivors. Rather, it elevated victims of domestic violence to a position where they can speak up. This trial boosted the notion that female abusers cannot get away with domestic violence, and females cannot get it, or women cannot get away with false allegations anymore, especially if they've been lying about it. The only group of people that this trial brings down is the abusers themselves. Now, I do believe that part of this entire situation with Amber Heard and other women bringing up false allegations of domestic violence and sexual assault is attributed to the feminist movement. In 2017, many women came forward to speak up about their experiences with sexual assault and domestic violence following the Harvey Weinstein debacle. Ultimately, the motive behind the Me Too movement is ultimately a good thing, but it also caused some feminists to spiral into this believe all women mentality. That paved the way for Amber to come in, lie about Johnny Depp, and destroy his reputation. Now, I have been critical of the feminist movement for years, and I'm still largely critical of the movement for its ambiguity on certain issues. One of the major feminist stances and topics that I've been quite critical on are their views surrounding men and men's rights issues. From what I can tell, there seem to be three groups of feminists when it comes to men. There are the feminists who wholeheartedly love men and support men's rights issues and view them as feminist issues. There are the feminists who claim they love and support men, but actively deny or push men's rights issues aside. And then there are the female supremacists who want absolutely nothing to do with men. As a matter of fact, many of these feminists, from what I can tell, believe that women should be oppressing men for thousands of years in order for true equality to be established. I do not claim to be a feminist, largely due to the latter two groups. I do not wish to attach my name to a movement that does not stand for the same causes that I stand for. Admittingly, if feminism only encompassed the first group and never gave a platform to the other two groups, then I would have no issue calling myself a feminist. But that's just not the world we live in. And that's just not the case with modern feminism. I will go as far as saying the female supremacists and feminists who claim to support men but don't are responsible for toxic women like Amber Heard and the other female abusers, as well as the other women who bring up false allegations against men. Now, with all that being said, I used to be critical of the feminists who love and support men as well. I hardly ever disagreed with them on many social issues, and any disagreement that would arise, we would would be able to look past that and move on with our lives while remaining civil throughout the entire time. My issue with this group of feminists was I never felt like they truly stood up for their beliefs. It seemed like they never really stood up to the other feminists and said, no, men belong in or men's rights issues are just as valid as women's rights issues as far as feminism is concerned. Now, after paying attention to the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard case and now watching the hashtag mentoo movement unfold, I can safely say that I no longer hold these criticisms against this particular group of feminists. As a matter of fact, I think that this will clear up a lot of stigma that surrounds the feminist movement. I will say, I'm interested to see if this will truly change the mindset that feminists have about men. As I just said, I think it would clear up a lot of stigma. It would give us outsiders a much clearer picture on what feminism truly is, because as of right now, many of us outsiders are not sure what to make of the movement itself. And I just think that it would be a good thing for the movement, for what's generally a pretty good cause, I think. I really hope this Johnny Depp case and this mentoo movement shed more light on domestic violence against men and misandry as a whole. As a matter of fact, our society needs to bridge this gap between men and women and heal the wounds. This wound was brought onto us by third wave feminism, and it was divisive by setting up men as the aggressive perpetrators and women as these innocent angels all the time. And this new movement in this case, I think, further humanizes men and shows that men can be victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. I gotta say, for the first time in a while, I am genuinely excited to see where this new movement will take our society. And with that, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, share this video, share all my videos. For those of you that have been, or for those of you who want to relive the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard case, well, entire situation actually, I have an entire playlist of videos over on my channel. Go watch all those videos, share that entire playlist, like it. It would really help my channel get off the ground. Trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Hopefully we can get there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.